Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
What's something you didn't realize was optional in life until you saw someone simply not doing it? That you don't actually have to have an opinion on everything. Watching someone say, "I don't know enough about that to comment," made me realize silence is an option too. If more people did this, the world would be a better place. Giving a shit. I don't mean in an apathetic way, but growing up my parents panicked about every little thing. Going to the store, a doctor's appointment, a missed piece of mail, dropping a fork, spilling milk on the table. Everything turned into a big deal. But I spent time with other people as a teen, adult, and realized that wasn't normal. The world doesn't end if you burn a pizza, or if the water spills over when boiling pasta. That guy who cut you off isn't the worst part of your day. The staff member at the store checking your ID isn't a bad person. You can just not react to those things, and life gets a whole lot easier. For real, growing up, my mom was so high-strung. Everything was stressful and panic-inducing. Turns out she had an undiagnosed, unmedicated anxiety disorder. Now as an adult, I'm one of the chillest people I know, because nothing is ever truly that big of a deal. A person was talking stupid, and the person didn't argue, but just got up and walked away without saying a word. As someone who works with the public, I learned to not argue with stupid. I frequently say, "Interesting, I didn't know that," when people tell me with absolute certainty a fact I'm 90% sure is wrong. If you just listen and let them vent work situations, they'll eventually tire themselves out. Then you can get on with your day and not let that negativity get under your skin. You don't always need to feel obligated to respond to hysterics. Nod until they're done and walk away. Lol, most of the time it has nothing to do with you, people need to vent. Not opening the door when the doorbell rings. This one hit hard for me. Was casually speaking to my neighbor and she mentioned the neighborhood was getting hit hard by solicitors lately. I told her a few were selling internet plans, no-name wireless, and pest control services. She looked at me like I had a horn between my eyes and asked me why I was opening my door to strangers. Made me really think about how programmed we are to answer the door to anyone and everyone who may or may not be nefarious. So, I just stopped, because it is weird I would open my door to someone I'm not expecting. If they aren't wearing a recognizable uniform, police, UPS, USPS, or Amazon, I don't answer the door. Especially true if they're carrying a clipboard. Same for myself. I don't even care about the doorbell camera and my car in front. If I don't want to answer, I don't. And I don't run and hide in a different room. Hell, I don't even care if they can see me through my front window. I run and hide, hee hee. I've got this great ironing hack called, "Don't buy clothes that need ironing." I have 2 full suits, a dark gray 3-piece and a lighter gray 2-piece, 1 pair of khaki dress pants, and 2 dress shirts pressed and starched by our local cleaners hanging up in my closet, along with a couple of ties and all the needed rigmarole. Everything else, it maxes out at business or dress casual, and if it doesn't come out of the dryer and you can hang it up wrinkle-free, it doesn't go into my normal rotation. I don't even own an iron or fabric steamer, and I don't want to hear one word about being lazy. I was in Uncle Sam's floating house of shooty ships for 20 years. I pressed and creased and ironed and spit-shined and shaped hats and bloused boots and all that jazz for 2 fucking decades. I paid whatever, prove you are capable of maintaining complicated clothing, dues you could even dream of. I'm done. Uncle Sam's house of shooty ships got me laughing. Saying, "Thank you for the invitation, but we won't be able to make it," to a social invite without providing a detailed explanation about why you can't attend. The "not required to give a reason" moment is the best. Though I can't deny the urge to fill the gap and mumble some excuse. Usually the person you're talking to doesn't even care that you don't have a reason. They were just wanting to hear yes or no. Seeing someone just not force small talk made me realize you don't have to fill every silence, and watching friends say, "I'm too tired to go," without guilt taught me that you're allowed to honor your energy without explaining yourself. I think one of the signs of a true friendship is the ability to sit in companionable silence for a while. Not all the time, but if you are on a road trip with someone, I think a real tell that they're a good friend is if they aren't constantly trying to engage you in conversation. That it's okay to sit there and enjoy the moment, or zone out, without it being taken as an insult. I once worked with a guy for 3 years and never learned his name. Best friend I ever had. We still never talk sometimes. RS. Your mileage may vary on this one, but sitting through meetings you don't need to be in. When I was an intern, I mentioned to my boss that a certain team's meetings were brutally long and tended to get way more in the weeds than they should. He told me, "Then just leave," and it absolutely blew my mind. You have to know the politics, and I'd advise getting a vibe check from your boss first, but you can almost always say something like, "It sounds like you don't need me for this last part. Is it okay if I go get a head start on this project?" Or, "I have something pretty time sensitive to get to. Are there any things left you need my input on?" And then I just leave. I say it cheerfully, I always follow up on the parts that involved me, and I've never gotten in trouble for it or had it impact my reputation negatively. Don't let yourself be trapped. Editor add, I have about 7 years of professional experience, I'm not still an intern just cluelessly watching social cues whiff over my head. I love the phrase, I have a hard stop in X minutes, I have never had anyone ask why. I used that one well for several years. They didn't need to know that my hard stop was a Marlboro I had that needed setting on fire. Even better, you can run a meeting in which you taper from topics of the whole room needs to be on, and then dismiss folks as you get more specific. The first time someone dismissed me from a meeting, I was so impressed. Answering a question. Just because someone asks you a question doesn't mean you have to answer it. Also an email. I used to be the font of all wisdom at work, but now I'm not afraid to forward if it's called for. I firmly subscribe to a simple email philosophy. If you're not asking me something, invite, comment, thoughts, and answer, I'm under no obligation to respond to your email. Starter kit for those that feel like a direct, that's not your business, is too much. What an odd thing to ask. I don't share personal details with strangers. I don't think that's an appropriate question. Wow, I don't talk about underscore 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 underscore. If it's extremely rude, just walk away, hang up, or block. I've always said, why do you ask? Usually silences the asker. There's always, wouldn't you like to know, whether boy. I grew up Mormon, and it's expected for children to get baptized when they turn 8 years old. This creates a membership record that is kept for the church forever. Some have needed the help of lawyers to get theirs erased after leaving the church. It's pretty much forced in every way except they tell you, it's your choice. A girl I knew turned 8 and decided not to get baptized, and all of us kids in the same primary were shocked that you could actually say no and not burst into flames. Looking back, I am so proud of her. Anyways, I'm not Mormon anymore. TBF, in most families I knew, it wasn't really optional. They might tell you it was your choice, but the emotional manipulation, bullying, disappointment, and coercion you'd experience from your parents, siblings, peers, teachers was too much pressure for most kids to reasonably resist, even if they didn't believe. Looking back, I cannot believe how toxic the church is in this regards. If you don't conform, they need to fix you even if that screws you up more. I think I was 15 when I realized that I didn't actually have to start smoking. Ever. Every adult I knew smoked, and they always talked about it like obviously I was going to start at some point. They just recommended not to do it too young. I am thankful for the Healthy Harold bus that came to our school and said that you were just allowed to not drink and smoke. As a kid it was so normalized I just thought everyone did it, and it wasn't a choice. I wasn't the smartest kid, and very disadvantaged, so very lucky we had that bus as a resource. Probably helped shape my life. 30+ years later, that bus is still operating. I've donated to it personally, and through corporate programs with one of the companies I worked for. Hopefully some kids find it just as useful. For me it was a commercial. This boy was talking to his friend at school about this girl he likes. Over walks this pretty girl and he gets excited. Then she lights up a cig and he turns to his friend and says, "Never mind, she smokes." I will never forget it, as that's how I felt. I grew up in fully indoor smoking houses too. When I inherited my house we had to scrub brown off of the walls. Pretending to be okay all the time. You're allowed to rest, not perform. This is the biggest thing I've learned this year. I'm comfortable around my work colleagues, parents and friends. We're all super close. They've seen me during my lowest lows, but they've given me nothing but love and support. It's not lost in me how incredibly rare this is, and I'm grateful for their understanding. Wearing makeup to run to the store. The other day I just didn't. And nothing bad happened. Last time I wore makeup the year started with a 1. Nothing bad has happened. I'm happier. I'm retired now, but no one at the jobs I had cared at all. Currently work sales. In person. I wore foundation just to even out my skin for like a decade. Then COVID happened and I worked from home. I still wore makeup because I was in tons of on-camera meetings. Then one day, I just stopped. I'm now in person again and haven't put crap on my face skin in like 3 to 4 years. And it's all normal, even pigment now, like I don't even need foundation. And my pores seem happier that I'm not clogging them with crap. Stopping wearing makeup actually improved my skin. Now I just need to learn to drink water. My mother-in-law feels like she has to do hair and makeup just to see people. I went to her house last night for dinner and this lady texts me to warn me that she's not wearing makeup. I lived with them briefly. I've been on multiple girls' trips with her. I've seen her sloppy drunk. I've definitely seen her without makeup before. Like, woman, are you okay? You're allowed to be comfortable in your own house, you know that, right? I had to give my mother-in-law an enema and she's embarrassed to be seen in front of me without makeup. People are wild. A line I read in an interview with a makeup artist has stuck with me for years. Wear makeup because you want to, not because you feel like you have to. You don't have to go to all family holidays. You can start new traditions. You don't have to associate with them at all, especially if they cross boundaries. In fact, you can go no contact if you want to. Hell, if they can't even admit or see what they did was wrong, then they aren't worth your time. If you are treated worse than a stranger, it's time to become one. Using the fancy cups, plates, etc. Mum was flabbergasted when I made her a cup of tea using the china from her display cabinet. If not now, then when? Why shouldn't we use it when we can? I used to be guilty of thinking like your mother. I was gifted a beautiful fancy too expensive outfit for my newborn 30-some odd years ago. I never put it on her because I thought it was too fancy for a newborn to slobber and poop all into. As a result, it went without ever being worn. Was a waste of the giver's money and of our closet space, I suppose. In retrospect, I should have used the hell out of it because it cost so much. The only way to get the value out of it would have been to use it excessively. I've tried to keep that in mind ever since. The more it costs, the more it should be used to get the value out of it, not the more it should be kept locked away just to look at, unless it's a painting or something. Pro tip: try to think about everything in terms of cost per wear. It has ended up biasing me to higher quality clothing that doesn't wear out prematurely, which is great.